The sister he never knew. The marble floors of the downtown law office echoed with each hesitant step as Marcus Wellington adjusted his tie for the third time. 20 years of corporate law had prepared him for hostile negotiations, billion-dollar mergers, and courtroom battles that made seasoned attorneys tremble. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for this moment. His daughter Emma tugged at his hand, her pink dress swishing as she looked up at him with those innocent brown eyes that mirrored his own. "Daddy, why are we here? You said we were getting ice cream." Marcus swallowed hard, his throat tight. "We will, sweetheart. But first, Daddy needs to meet someone very important." The receptionist had called them back 15 minutes ago, leading them through a maze of corridors that seemed to stretch into eternity. Now they stood in a private conference room, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city where Marcus had built his empire, his reputation, his carefully constructed life. And there she stood. The young woman couldn't have been more than 19, maybe 20. She wore a faded olive t-shirt and jeans with frayed hems, a stark contrast to the polished professionals who typically occupied these spaces. Her hair hung in loose waves around a face that was hauntingly familiar, featuring the same sharp jawline, the same deep-set eyes that Marcus saw in the mirror every morning. But it was her expression that cut him deepest, a mixture of hope, fear, anger, and desperate longing all rolled into one trembling gaze. "Mr. Wellington," the attorney began, but Marcus raised his hand. "Just give us a moment." The silence that followed was deafening. Emma looked between her father and the stranger, her 6-year-old mind working to understand the tension crackling through the air like electricity before a storm. The young woman spoke first, her voice barely above a whisper. "My name is Sarah, Sarah Mitchell." She paused, her hands clasping and unclasping nervously. "I'm your daughter." Marcus felt the world tilt beneath his feet. He'd known this moment was coming ever since the letter arrived 3 weeks ago. Ever since the DNA test confirmed what he desperately hoped was some kind of mistake or scam. But knowing something intellectually and facing it emotionally were two entirely different things. "How?" he started, but the word died in his throat. Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "My mom, Rebecca Mitchell, she worked at your father's company 21 years ago. You were in college, home for the summer, interning there." The memories came flooding back like a dam breaking. That summer, Rebecca, the brilliant, beautiful analyst who'd made him laugh during late nights at the office. The brief, intense relationship that had burned bright and fast before he returned to Harvard, before his life took the trajectory his family had always planned. "I tried to find you," Sarah continued, her voice cracking. "But Mom made me promise I wouldn't until after she was gone. She didn't want to disrupt your life," she said. "Didn't want to cause problems for your family." A bitter laugh escaped her lips. "She died 6 months ago. Breast cancer. And with her last breaths, she finally told me the truth about who my father really was." Emma's small voice cut through the tension. "Daddy, what does she mean she's your daughter?" "I'm your daughter." Marcus felt his heart splinter into 1,000 pieces. He knelt down, gathering Emma into his arms, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo, feeling the solid reality of her small body against his chest. "You are my daughter, Emma. You'll always be my daughter." "But," He looked up at Sarah, seeing the pain etched across her face. It means you have a sister. A big sister. But how? Emma asked with the brutal logic of childhood. Sisters live together. We don't even know her. That's... Marcus's voice broke. That's because Daddy made a mistake. A long time ago, before you were born, before I even met your mommy, I didn't know Sarah existed. Sarah wiped at her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm not here to ruin your life, Mr. Wellington. I don't want your money. I don't want to tear apart your family. She took a shuddering breath. I just wanted to meet you. To look into the eyes of the man who's been a ghost my entire life. To understand where I came from. Marcus stood slowly, his legs feeling like lead. Every instinct screamed at him to protect the life he'd built. His marriage to Catherine, his home in the suburbs, his position as a pillar of the community. The scandal this would cause. The conversations he'd have to have. The trust he'd have to rebuild. But looking at Sarah, he saw something that transcended all of that. He saw a young woman who'd grown up without a father, who'd watched her mother work 2 jobs to make ends meet, who'd probably wondered every birthday why half of her genetic identity was missing. He saw someone who'd faced loss and grief and still had the courage to seek truth. Tell me about her, Marcus said quietly. Your mother. Tell me about Rebecca. Sarah's surprise was evident. She'd clearly expected denial, lawyers, or dismissal, not this. She was amazing. Strong. She worked as a nurse after leaving the corporate world. Said she wanted to help people more directly. A sad smile crossed her face. She never spoke badly of you. Never. She just said that you both were young, that life took you in different directions. She made me promise not to be angry with you. But you were angry, Marcus observed, seeing the truth beneath her words. Sarah struggled with the admission. I'm furious, and heartbroken, and confused, because part of me has hated you my entire life for not being there. For not knowing I existed. For not watching me take my first steps or helping me with homework or scaring away the boys who broke my heart. Her voice rose with emotion. But another part of me knows it's not fair to hate you for something you didn't know about. And that makes me even more angry because I don't even get the satisfaction of righteous rage. Emma, still in her father's arms, surprised them both. Are you sad? Sarah looked at the little girl, seeing her own eyes staring back at her from a younger face. Yes, sweetie, I'm very sad. Daddy says when I'm sad, hugs help. Do you want a hug? The simple innocence of the offer shattered what remained of Sarah's composure. Tears began streaming down her face as she nodded, unable to speak. Emma wriggled out of Marcus's arms and walked over to Sarah, wrapping her small arms around her older sister's waist. Marcus watched, his own vision blurring, as his 2 daughters embraced, one who'd known nothing but his love and presence, another who'd known nothing but his absence. The unfairness of it, the cosmic cruelty of circumstances and choices made 20 years ago, crashed over him like a wave. I'm sorry, he finally managed, his voice thick with emotion. Sarah, I am so incredibly sorry. For not being there, for not knowing, for every birthday I missed, every milestone I wasn't part of, Every moment you needed a father and found empty space instead. Sarah pulled back from Emma's embrace, looking at Marcus with raw vulnerability. I don't want apologies. I want. She struggled to articulate it. I want to matter. I want to know that my existence means something to you beyond a complication or a mistake to be managed. You're not a complication, Marcus said firmly, stepping forward. You're my daughter. And I've already missed 20 years. I can't get that time back. But I can, if you'll let me, be here for whatever time we have left. What about your wife? Sarah asked, her voice hardening slightly. Your real family. How are you going to explain me to them? Marcus flinched at the phrase, real family, but he understood the hurt behind it. Catherine deserves the truth. It won't be easy. But you deserve to be acknowledged, to be part of this family if that's what you want. Not hidden away like a shameful secret. And if she makes you choose. The question hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Marcus thought about Catherine, about their 15 years of marriage, about the life they'd built together. She would be devastated, angry, possibly unforgiving. But as he looked at Sarah's face, so much like his own, filled with a lifetime of longing, he knew what his answer had to be. Then I'll fight like hell to make sure I don't have to. But Sarah, I won't abandon you again. Not now that I know you exist. Not ever. Sarah's carefully constructed walls crumbled. I wanted to hate you, she whispered. It would be so much easier to hate you. You have every right to, Marcus replied. I won't blame you if you do. But I'm asking, begging, for a chance to be your father. Even if it's 20 years too late. Even if I have to spend the rest of my life making up for lost time. Please. Emma tugged at Sarah's shirt. Does this mean you'll come to my birthday party? It's next month. I'm turning 7. Daddy always makes chocolate cake, and we have a bouncy house. The absurdity of the moment, the gravity of the situation juxtaposed with the innocent excitement of a child, made Sarah laugh through her tears. I don't know, sweetie. That's complicated. No, it's not, Emma insisted with the certainty only children possess. If you're my sister, you come to my birthday. That's how families work. Marcus and Sarah locked eyes over Emma's head, and in that moment, a fragile understanding passed between them. This wouldn't be easy. There would be difficult conversations, painful revelations, and relationships tested to their breaking points. Catherine might never forgive him. His parents would be horrified. The community he'd built his reputation in would whisper and judge. But none of that mattered as much as the young woman standing before him, a living reminder of choices made and lives affected, of love lost and connections that could still be forged. If you're willing, Marcus said slowly, I'd like to try. To get to know you. To understand who you are, what you dream about, what makes you laugh. I can't be the father I should have been. But maybe I can be the father you need now. Sarah bit her lip, clearly warring with herself. I have conditions. Anything. I don't want money. I want time. Real time. Not just holidays and obligatory visits. I want to know you. Not some polished version of you designed to ease your guilt. Done. And I want honesty. About my mom. About that summer. About why it ended. I need to understand. Marcus nodded. even though the thought of revisiting that time made his chest ache. "I'll tell you everything. The good, the bad, and the cowardly. And," Sarah's voice dropped to barely audible, "I want to matter. Not as a responsibility or an obligation, but as someone you actually want in your life." "You already do," Marcus said, and he meant it. In the span of 30 minutes, this stranger who shared his DNA had become real to him, not as an abstract concept or a problem to solve, but as a person. His daughter. "You matter, Sarah. You've always mattered, even when I didn't know you existed." Emma grabbed both of their hands, forming a bridge between them. "Can we get ice cream now?" Daddy promised, and when people are sad, ice cream helps. That's what Mommy always says. Sarah looked at Marcus, a question in her eyes. He squeezed Emma's hand gently. "Your sister's right. Ice cream does help. What do you say, Sarah? Will you join us?" For a moment, Sarah hesitated. This was the threshold. Stepping through meant acknowledging this relationship, beginning something that couldn't be undone. Staying meant maintaining the walls she'd built, protecting herself from potential hurt. But looking at Emma's hopeful face and Marcus's earnest expression, she found herself nodding. "Okay. Yes. Ice cream sounds good." As they left the conference room together, an unlikely trio bound by blood and circumstance, Marcus couldn't help but think about the conversation he'd have to have with Catherine tonight. About the explosion this would cause in his carefully ordered life. About the judgment and gossip and complications that lay ahead. But he also thought about the young woman walking beside him, about the 20 years of her life he'd missed, about the second chance he'd been given to make things right. It wouldn't erase the past. It wouldn't undo the hurt. But maybe, just maybe, it could build a bridge to a different future. Emma chattered excitedly about her favorite ice cream flavors as they waited for the elevator. Sarah listened with a bemused expression, occasionally glancing at Marcus as if confirming this was really happening. And Marcus stood between his two daughters, one who'd always known his love, one who was just learning what that love might look like, and felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders like never before. The elevator doors opened, and they stepped inside. As the doors closed behind them, Marcus caught sight of their reflection in the polished metal, a family fractured and fragmented, but perhaps beginning the long, painful process of becoming whole. "Daddy," Emma asked as the elevator descended, "what's her favorite ice cream?" Marcus looked at Sarah. "I don't know, sweetheart. Why don't you ask her?" Emma turned to her newfound sister with absolute seriousness. "What's your favorite ice cream?" Sarah smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes for the first time since they'd met. "Mint chocolate chip. Mine too," Emma squealed. "See, Daddy, we're already the same." Marcus laughed despite himself, a sound that held equal parts joy and grief. They weren't the same. Not yet, maybe not ever completely. The damage of 20 lost years couldn't be erased by ice cream and good intentions. There would be setbacks and struggles, moments of doubt and anger and pain. But as they walked out into the afternoon sunshine, 3 lives intersecting in ways none of them had anticipated, Marcus allowed himself a fragment of hope. For second chances, for redemption, for the possibility that love, though late in arriving, could still find its way home. The sister he never knew had found him. And in doing so, she'd changed everything. Later that evening, as Marcus sat in his car outside his suburban home, watching Catherine through the window as she prepared dinner, he knew the hardest part was yet to come. He pulled out his phone, looking at the photo Emma had insisted on taking. The three of them at the ice cream shop, Emma in the middle with chocolate chips smeared on her face, Sarah's smile tentative but genuine, and Marcus with an expression that captured both the happiest and saddest moment of his life. He saved Catherine's number on his phone screen, his thumb hovering over the call button. Some conversations couldn't wait. Some truths, no matter how painful, demanded to be spoken. Taking a deep breath, Marcus opened the car door and stepped out into the gathering dusk, ready to face the consequences of the past and fight for a future that now included the daughter he'd never known, but would spend the rest of his life learning to love. The end.